Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and I had a subscriber ask actually kind of an amusing question when you think about it. But he said, hey, where are you pulling these novice numbers from that you come up with for your program? Because, 90% of people in the gym can't hit these numbers. And I see guys who have been on a little bit of extra hormonal supplementation for a while who still can't do this. So what's going on? All right, so let me put on my +5 hat of weaponsmithing, do a little bit of crafting, and let's talk about this. I base those numbers based upon what are reasonable expectations that the top 50%, the top half of people who run my novice program will hit by the end of the year on the program. All other factors being equal, meaning people who are under 35, over about 17, who are healthy, average height or taller, not really particularly short. Those are the numbers I have. And most charts that are out there, they do allow for body weight, and that's in large part to deal with people's height as far as how they break people down into novice, intermediate, and advanced lifters. And that's what people do. And you know what? Some people think my numbers are a little strict on my novice program, but that's the top half. I've also seen people destroy those numbers in 9 months. There were several people who followed it early on who I watched their progress with it, who reported back to me. A couple of guys, they passed those minimum numbers by at least 10% before they even reached the 1 year mark. And I think it was well over 10%. Yeah, like one guy was already doing 345 on the squats and 455 for the 5 rep sets on the deadlifts at like the 9 or 10 month mark. So pretty impressive, but that's obviously genetic outliers. The average person's not going to do that. They were just particularly genetically gifted as far as strength and leverages and everything go. But the reason we come up with these is not about how much experience level you have. And when we start talking about novice, intermediate, and advanced, people reach those numbers based on a time frame if they're on a really good, well-written program. If people are running something they pulled out of a bodybuilding magazine, or they just write their own program and they don't understand anything about training periodization or basic programming or dual factor recovery models, of course they're not going to reach those numbers in those time frames. Of course they're not, unless again they're just very, very gifted. So when you place a time frame on who's a novice, an intermediate, and an advanced, that's only assuming the best case scenario. Because yeah, it is possible to be training in a gym 8 to 10 years and still be a novice. To still be a novice. And so to clarify again how we come up with these numbers are a product of how strong you are in relation to the workload you can produce versus a recovery ability that you have. All right, so that's what we're talking about. And the reason that matters is that affects what type of progression programming you can use, and that affects how you're going to recover and how fast a gains you could make. And what I mean by that is these people who have been training several years, 3 years, whatever it happens to be, if they still don't hit the novice numbers, if they're on gear and they're not surpassing my novice numbers, meaning squatting 315 for 4 or 5 reps, deadlifting 405 for reps, benching 225 for reps, yeah, if they can't do those things, there's a 90% chance, maybe even almost 100% chance, that they have a bad case of what Martin Berkhan called fuck-around-itis. They're in the gym fucking playing. They're not actually training. All right, there's a big difference. They might be working out, but they're not fucking training. Enormous difference between the two. And if people want to understand the difference there, working out is going to the gym thinking only of the short-term immediate effect. Like if you go to the gym and you focus purely upon what you're getting out of that one workout, man, I'm in here to blast my arms today. I'm in here to blast my chest today. And it's something you're doing therapeutic or for a short-term response, but you don't have a long-term game plan and you don't know how that exact workout fits into your pattern 6 weeks from now. You don't have a pre-programmed concept or a progression pattern or a protocol in place that you plan on running for the next 12 weeks, 6 months, year, 3 years. You don't have a structured concept of what you're doing with a short-term and long-term goals clearly defined, then you're not training. You're not training. Training is exercise done in a structured manner with specific short-term and long-term goals with at least some sort of loose time frame around them, with a game plan of exactly how you plan to get from point A to point B to point C. You know exactly what you are doing and why as part of a larger progression of things. If you come in and they just randomly change exercises or rep ranges or do a drop set or something out of nowhere, and it's not something you planned out ahead of time, you have probably a case of fuck around-itis. You're not training, you're working out. And if you're going to the gym just training or exercising, you shouldn't expect to get the kind of results, particularly the strength and muscle mass results, of people who do things in a structured manner, who have a game plan, who know what they are doing. And there's an enormous difference. That's not training. That's not training. Like, I'd ask you right now, what are you going to do on Tuesday in the gym? Exactly what you're going to do. When I mean what you're going to do you know what sort of weights you're going to work with? What sort of rep ranges you're going to work with? How much weight are you going to put on the squat bar? How much weight are you going to put on your barbell rows? If you can't answer these things and you can't tell me how it's going to affect your next deload or any of that, if you can't tell me that, then you're not training, because you don't have an actual plan. So accordingly, why do so many of these guys come in and they never get past the late novice phase? Because they have fuck around-itis. They come in just to play in the gym. Sure, they might occasionally train hard, but they're in there playing. They don't have a game plan for their progressive overload mapped out for the next 12 weeks or the next year. They have no concept of what they're doing. No concept. So why would they expect results? They're just randomly throwing darts at a dartboard with their eyes closed, hoping something hits a bullseye sooner or later. That's all they're doing. And you could argue otherwise. People would be like, well, no, because people get results in the gym. Yeah, people can also hit a bullseye throwing a dart at a dartboard with their eyes closed. It can be done. But they're doing it on a workout-to-workout basis. So occasionally they get a workout that does help them towards their goal. Occasionally they don't, but they're flying blind. So that's why you have people who are well past the time frame who don't reach that progress level. But here's the beauty of it. The thing that you have to remember, if you are still a novice, that means you could still make noob gains. Meaning someone could be fucking around in the gym for 5 years straight and they still squat 225 for 3 or 4 reps. They still bench 185 for a double. And they're still a healthy young man. Yeah, you could also take that person and put them on a proper novice program, and they would probably make better gains in the next 3 months than they made in the previous 2 years. Why? Because they're still a novice. All they need is a structured progressive overload program, and they would all of a sudden make the most amazing gains they've ever seen. That's the beauty of it. That's the difference, because what you have to understand, these things are defined by how much you can tap into your recovery ability in a workout. All right, someone who can't even squat 315 for a few reps isn't strong enough, as a male usually. Female, obviously, she'd be a fucking beast. But for a male who can't do that, they're not strong enough physically to actually tap into their recovery ability that much. And accordingly, they can come in and train with very aggressive volumes and very aggressive frequencies and progression rates and still recover from it, because they're not strong enough to destroy their recovery ability through sheer workload with normal sets. So that's still a good thing for them, because it means anytime they change their mind, the moment they say, oh my God, I have fuck around-itis, I need to fix it, they could go on a good program and in the next 3 or 4 months probably make the best gains of their life. So they can still do that at any time they make the conscious choice to stop playing and fucking around in the gym and to actually make progress. They have the option to do so, and they will. And it will be downright amazing for them. They'll be shocked. Like, wow, in 3 months I made better gains than in the last 2 years. Yeah. And then there'll be an intermediate, and they'll still be able to make intermediate gains, and intermediates will probably make better gains than these people have been making for the past year. So that they'll ride that train out. So that's the beauty of it for these people, is they still always have the option to do so. But what people need to grasp is that, no, if you haven't ever pushed your potential at all, you can lift weights for 5 years, 10 years, whatever, and still not be a true intermediate level lifter. And intermediates can usually be hit in under 2 years. A lot of people can reach intermediate status in a year. But if you play around and you fuck around, particularly on the big lifts, the big exercises that work most of the major muscles in your body, you can still be a novice after that. It happens all the time, exactly like the guy described who was talking about that. So it does happen, but it's more a product of them being in the gym just fucking around and playing around instead of actually knowing what they're doing and having a real game plan and putting in some real work. Alright guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.